We always wanted for athletes to have that experiences that I would have when I go abroad, when I compete at World Championships or Olympic Games or even Pan Am Games. I wanted more athletes to have that experience here in Guyana.
Welcome back to Caribbean Sports Club, a backcourt podcast. I'm your host, Darren Douglas, and I am very excited about the guest I have lined up for you today. Chelsea Edghill is Guyana's first and only Olympian in the sport of table tennis, and she served as the flag bearer for the country in both the Tokyo and Paris Olympics. When she's not competing, she is the CEO of Edge Sports Management, which is pioneering the future of sports in Guyana and the Caribbean. Welcome, Chelsea.
Hi, thank you. And thanks for having me.
Just to get us kicked off, I would love to hear about how you got introduced to table tennis because I imagine everyone that you grew up with wasn't playing table tennis. There were probably other sports that were more popular. So, how were you introduced to the sport?
So it was kind of like by accident. So normally my parents would take us to the US for vacation, and this one summer they said they weren't going to. And there was this program called the Teach Them Young, and we just went for just for summer fun, and it just kind of stuck. The coach, he told my parents that I was talented and I should come back in September, and I liked it so much that they agreed that okay, we'll come back in September and we'll do this. But it was something that just kind of clicked for me, and it was like once I started playing, like I never wanted to stop.
That's awesome. So, you were talented in the sport almost right away. Was there a moment that you realized this could be something I take to the highest level?
I think it was like 1 year after I started playing and training with the national team. I was when we went to Dominican Republic, and my mom saw the level that the Spanish players were playing at. So we saw that and we realized, oh, it's not just recreational. It's something that's being done seriously. And from then, I think I was maybe 10 years old, and I was like, yeah, I want to do this. I want to do this like really seriously. So my parents were like, okay, if that's what you want to do, let's do it.
That's awesome that they supported you that young and you knew what you wanted to do. Sometimes kids say they want to do something at 10 and at 12 it's something completely different. In terms of actually getting to the Olympics now, what was that process like? How did you support yourself in actually getting to Tokyo since that was your first one?
My qualification wasn't the same as most other athletes. In table tennis, there's one universality spot that is given to one female player and one male player from across the world. And I was fortunate to not only get it once, but twice. But just even just before getting that, it was a lot of hard work, a lot of sacrifice in terms of, deciding whether or not to go pro, whether to pursue, further my studies. So it was one of those things where I wanted to do my PhD in chemistry at the time. And my parents instead said, you played table tennis for so long and you always wanted to go pro. Why not after your bachelor's? We'll support you. Just take the leap and just go play professionally and see where it takes you. And it was just playing and training really hard that kind of got me in the mindset of really saying, hey, Tokyo is something that I really wanted to do and, really wanted to compete at. And it just so happened that I was granted the opportunity to do so.
That's awesome. Divine timing, I guess.
Yeah.
Now you're at the Tokyo Olympics and you get the honor of being the flag bearer. What was that like? I'm sure you were either nervous or maybe just excited.
Yeah, I was really excited actually. It was the first time I was ever a flag bearer for Guyana. All of the other multi-sport games, like I've never been the flag bearer, so it was really a moment of pride and just a humbling experience to be the one that took carried the flag at the biggest stage in sports. So for me, I was just super excited, and I just wanted to look my best. I wanted to smile the brightest. But at the Tokyo Games, we weren't allowed to not have not be with our masks on. So it was kind of okay, it was kind of surreal to understand what was happening in the world, but still understanding that it's just a once in a lifetime experience.
That's awesome. I imagine little girls around the world, or definitely in Guyana, were looking to you as maybe a role model. When you think back to when you were young, were there any athletes that you looked up to and that inspired your journey?
Definitely. So there were two or three main ones that I really looked up to. In my sport, it was Michelle John. She was once our national women's champion in table tennis before I came onto the scene and started playing. And over the years, just watching her compete and her poise in terms of how she approached matches and stuff, it was really inspiring. And I think it was a moment of respect when we would play against each other. I'm about 9 or 10, and she's who she is, and she wouldn't take it easy on me. So I think that was really cool, and I looked up to her for that. And then in just in general, there's Serena Williams, of course, to know that she was so inspiring in what she did and how she dominated. I always wanted to be like her. I wanted to be the Serena Williams of table tennis. And then just in general, in terms of somebody who later became my mentor, Ali Pompey. She's a four-time Olympian in track and field for Guyana. And just over the years, from the first time I met her until now, she's been somebody who paid a close attention to my career and offers advice when needed and offers support when needed. And to this day, I still look up to her.
That's really cool. I think sometimes when we have idols, we admire from afar, but it sounds like you actually got to, meet them and build a relationship, so it makes it even that much more tangible.
Yeah, it really did, especially with Ali. And we would only hear about her. I think the first time I really set my sights on going to the Olympics was when I saw her compete. I think it was the Beijing Olympics. I saw her in the finals running the 400 meter, and I was like, I want to be like her because she was wearing the Guyana uniform with the bib and everything. I wasn't any sprinter or anything like that, but I was like, I want to do what she's doing. I want to be seen the way she's been seen. So I think it was, just seeing her do her thing, made me want to like pursue what I'm doing even harder.
So during the Paris Olympics, there was a very popular story about Anthony Edwards with the Olympic table tennis players.
Think it's really, really funny, but I think it was really good, for him to see us and, acknowledge us, even if he was making a joke. A lot of times, we always, we want people to say the right things, but a lot of times people really don't know how hard it is for table tennis players and, how hard it is for us, training and, how much work we have to put in. And then sometimes they just were like, they would make a joke, but a lot of times it comes off, we take offense to it sometimes because it kind of diminishes what we've done and stuff like that. But Anthony Edwards just seeing us and, commenting on us, it's kind of cool, but at the same time, put some respect on our names.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's a good segue to what you're working on outside of your competition. So could you share more about the business you started and the efforts and impact that you're having in the country?
Yeah, so ed sports management was something that, was a thought for many years. We always wanted for athletes to have that experiences that I would have when I go abroad, when I compete at world championships or Olympic games or even Pan Am games. We wanted them to not have to wait until they qualify for something like that to experience it because not many of us will do so. I wanted more athletes to have that experience here in Guyana. One, not only to give them the experience, but also to prepare them for what's to come when they leave Guyana, when they're competing for Guyana. It's also for people in Ghana to take sports seriously, to see it as a profession, to see it as an industry, not just something that's done as a pastime. I think far too long, many persons have been just been thinking of it as a pastime activity, something you do for fun. When the rest of the world has, moved on from that, they're thinking professionalism, they're thinking professional athletes, they're thinking science, they're thinking all of these things that it pertains to sport. And I think a big part of me studying Edge Sports Management is so that Guyana kind of catches up with the rest of the world and to treat our athletes with the utmost respect that we deserve.
To your point, it isn't just a pastime anymore. It's a massive business. And sports touches so many other industries. I know one industry that's getting a lot of attention also recently is sports tourism. Do you think your company is going to play into that industry as well? And how might sports tourism sort of come up in your efforts?
Definitely. We have been pushing that strategy in terms of, when we're pitching to sponsors and to collaborators, is that, we're focusing on the eyes outside of Guyana, the ones that want to see what's going on in Guyana. And a bit of that, is to showcase, the talent, the sport, the event production, and what it is that Guyana has to offer in terms of sports and, sports production. Everybody's doing it around the world. A lot of times people are hosting competitions not to just win the competition, but also the definite benefits from it, having the tourists, having, the different eyes, different persons who are interested in business here. So it's something for us to emulate and kind of, make takes the right steps in terms of organizing ourselves a little better, infrastructure, and that kind of thing. So that, in the future is something that we can be really prepared for.
Awesome, awesome. I'm also thinking now about how for your upcoming Edge series you have table tennis, but that's not the only sport that you have. So why did you choose the sports that you did for this series?
So we're doing table tennis, 3x3 basketball, and criterium racing. A big part of the strategy for Edge Sports Management is to host events that aren't long-winded. They're short, they're scalable, and they're exciting. For the main reason to get the Guyanese public, involved and intrigued by sports, interested in sports, because we've lost that sport mentality, that fan mentality of having people support sports. They find it boring or too long, not well organized. So a big part of what we're doing in terms of raising awareness is to ensure that the events are short, they're exciting, they're entertaining. That way persons are interesting and they want more, they want to see more from us, and then just in general see more from sports. So that's one of the reasons we've chosen those three sports and the style of the sports that we've chosen. With table tennis, we tried something new in terms of having a teams sport, the teams category that's being played instead of just the regular singles, to just to promote, team spirit, having athletes build that sort of community among themselves and, their teammates and, the other players that will be coming. And in 3x3 basketball, it's really fast growing and everybody is really interested in, seeing that style of basketball being played. It's short, it's entertaining, it's just 10 minutes. And it's something that I found interesting from the last event that we had, the one Guyana 3x3. I thought that was really cool. And I think other persons found it really cool as well. So why not have more of that? And for me, it was a point to see more local athletes taking part in 3x3 and just to have them interested in what it is that 3x3 is and the pathways in terms of world cups and Olympic games. I think is really good, for them to see a possibility of, seeing themselves in that level. And the same goes for criterium racing. I think it's, again, super exciting. It's something that's really fast paced. It's entertaining, watching, those guys moves like super fast and the time that they have to ride for. I think it's really cool to see, that level of skill be displayed. So I want to see another one in Guyana, as a matter of fact, at that level. So I think that's my choices. That's the reasons for choosing those three sports.
Love that, love that. What do you think needs to happen at this Edge series for you to consider it a success?
Whew, I think one of the things would be player satisfaction. For players to tell me that it's something that's never been done, that they were thought of in every instance, and for them to say that I'm finally being seen in terms of the approach that we're going to take in terms of our storytelling and just the promotion of the event. And I think the second thing would be, the audience, to have people in the stands, people supporting, backing their favorite team. I think those two things would mean that it was a success.
And now looking into the future, let's say 5 years down the line, what does success look like for you in terms of Edge sports management?
I think success looks like Edge being the premier sports management company or agency, that every, national federation, sports organizations, athletes, managers, coaches, that they come to when they need advice, when they need, work done, just that, okay, Edge, we want to get something done in sports, we talk to Edge. But overall, it's just to be positioned as the best sports management company in Guyana.
Well, you are well on your way. And I think a lot of the times people wait until after their playing career to start their next chapter, but it's exciting to see you sort of building both careers at the same time.
um, I I honestly I honestly don't know, like, why now, but it just felt like the right time to do it. I think it was because I was at a crossroads of my career in terms of playing and competing, that I decided to kind of be like, okay, now is the best time to do it. But seeing the push from my friends, family, to say, hey, this is something that's needed and we should do it now. rather than later. I was like, okay, let's see where it goes. It was kind of like we did a trial run last year with, rolling it out, working on our event last year and seeing that it was a real success and persons were like, this is really good. I think that we were like, okay, we're on the right path and then just continuously working to where we are today.
Well, I just want to thank you for your time again. I really appreciate you sharing your insight and your wisdom, and sharing more about the upcoming series that you have. I'll make sure to share all of that in the description below.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us. That is all the time we have for today. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time.